I want to start off with the noon window there, the game that I thought was going to have the second most intrigue, and it ended up being the most intriguing game of the weekend to me, was that Michigan-Maryland game. And I'll start off by saying this, and then we can get into it. If Maryland has a returner that can field the opening kickoff, the outcome of the game may be different. I'll just start with that right there. Michigan was tested, and I love the way that they responded in that football game. But boy, that ended up being maybe the biggest break in the game, and it happened in the first 3 seconds.
Yeah, you spotted them 7 points, and that's something you can't do going in to go and try and beat a really good football team. You can't sustain self-inflicted wounds that early. To Maryland's credit, they bounced back. It's funny you bring this up because there's a couple of those moments where I think JJ had those young guy, rookie mistakes that really kind of hurt down there in the red zone, takes a huge sack, puts him into like third and a country mile. You know, he's got it back sometimes throughout the game. He got him back every once in a while, but it's just good test for him. Happy they figured it out. I think, but you make a really astute point there with Maryland basically spotting them 7. Because Maryland played really well. Unlike the Maryland that we saw the past couple of years when they stepped into these types of games, they executed. Talia came out and played winning football in my eyes. So this Maryland team, man, I think they're finally starting to turn the corner. It's taken a couple of years. They've shown us, they've given us a little bit, and we've been like ready to roll the dice and throw it in. But this is the first time I think that they've really showed me, at least against a team that had higher rankings, higher expectations, all those things. And Blake Corum's a stud. He's a stud, bro. So
he's an absolute stud. Mike Loxley's a great coach, man. I just got to say that. And you're right. It's taken a little while to build. And I think if you're a Maryland fan, or if you're somebody who follows that program, you had to have a little patience with it. And it wasn't always pretty, but the collection of talent that he has on that offense it's going to keep you competitive, but I don't think enough people are talking about the improvements they've made defensively. And they made a coordinator change very late in the year last year, and you started to see them turn the corner in the last couple of games. And, I think that's a big part of this process as well is, they had a couple of big plays defensively, and they missed some too. I mean, there were some drop picks that they had, that if they get 1 or 2 of those, it might be a different outcome as well. But just a full team effort out of them, and they come up short. But looking at the Michigan side of this game, I think it starts with Blake Corum. You're 100% right. And one of my takeaways is they got 2 young offensive coordinators, and I think they went off script to try things just to try them, not necessarily because they were there. And that meant going away from Corum a little bit. And that's a guy, I mean, he had a high volume of carries anyway. He had 30 carries and almost 250 yards in that game. But you probably could have given him 5 or 6 more, and it looked like he could have shouldered that load. And it could have kept you out of some situations where you're putting the ball in the hands of your young quarterback or some younger running backs who they're more prone to make mistakes. And then as I look at Michigan defensively too, this was a big test for their new defensive coordinator. And even though it was the same system, it's a different play caller and some different guys playing over on that side of the football. And I thought that some of the adjustments that they made toward the end of the game were it shows you that side of the football is going to be a really good unit by the end of the year. So you're able to escape in this one with a close victory, which makes it easier to coach this upcoming week because you can get on the guys a little bit and talk about the things that could have changed the outcome of the game, even though you got the victory. But I look at this Michigan team, not a lot of my opinions change about them. Really, this I think is more of a statement by Maryland and the trajectory of that program than it is an indictment on Michigan
That's a great
they
point.
played poorly. I think Michigan played a good football game. I think Maryland's a better team than anybody thought they were coming into this one.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think that's all that needs to be said. Maryland has really, like I said earlier, turned the corner in my opinion. Excited to see. Again, just more depth in the East. Like we keep going back to the East being a beast. Like just more depth in the East is going to be really good for college football. So excited they got back on track. And to your point, I don't think anything's changed with Michigan. You know, you're gonna hit these speed bumps, you're gonna hit these road bumps, and you do got to be able to win these types of games, right? And that, you know, I hate to beat a dead horse. Last year, you know, they learned that they could, and they did. Change at the guy running the show on the offensive side of the ball, learning a little bit about him. This is good. Like I said, this is going to be a good, valuable experience for him heading down the road.
A lot of value in it, ton of value in it. And the good teams will win the ugly ones. You know, you don't want it to be ugly. I know Michigan fans are probably on edge a little bit during that game, but the good teams win the ugly ones, and they got this one.
We're dropping our merch.
We got to start calling Underwood Daddy Brad.
I'm a big pod guy.
Breaking news. The Field of 68 has an online store, and it's your one-stop shop for the latest and greatest merch in college basketball and college football. You can find shirts to support your favorite team, make fun of your rival team, or boast Field of 68 catchphrases like Daddy Brad, Cussin' and Discussin', and the Star Heels. Go to www.fieldof68.shop today and enter promo code TOUCHDOWN for 20% off at checkout.